Turning 90210.
Will this TV or monitor work with an Xbox Series X or S has been one of the biggest and most confusing questions of this whole next generation era so far. And for anyone trying to get a new display, thinking the one I already have is good enough, any of that sort of thing has been hella confusing. Now this is meant to just purely be an explanation video to clear up which displays you could get based on what specs each one was. But now it's evolved into something more because not even that is enough to get a good display that works. Or get a good display you can, but one that works, that's not easy at all, apparently. Firstly, what is the confusion? Well, the first confusion, which is a smaller one, but I say smaller one, it's the one I'm not a part of, but it's definitely out there. HDMI 2.1 and that allowing 4K and 120Hz simultaneously now with new displays. That's been confusing because some people have started to say you need HDMI 2.1 for 120Hz at all, which is not true. In fact, they added that support on the Xbox One X and S back, I'm not sure how, actually I don't remember how long ago it was. But they added support for that back then, and you can have 120Hz displays connected. Obviously, there wasn't too many games they could use that with, but that's been there for a while with 1080 and 1440p displays at HDMI 2.0. You can use it with that. So to clear that up, yes, if you have a 1440p or 1080 display, you should be able to use 120Hz with any of those displays on HDMI 2.0. But that doesn't even clear up the story yet. It was at this point, in a more long-winded fashion, I would have explained all of what I've just said earlier, and basically just show you that my monitor, an ASUS VG27WQ, if I've got that right again, supports 1440p at 120Hz and give you at least one addition to one monitor you can look for, or at least show you it's possible you can now go search for stuff similar specs. But I made an impressions video and another video trying to explain how to set it up briefly so people who just got it could do so, and the comments on both of those videos are either filled with asking if, which obviously normal questions, is this monitor going to work, do you reckon this will work, etc, etc, which I can't speak for all of them, but people asking specs wise I can, but mainly people saying I have a monitor with the correct specs, or I have the exact same monitor, yes, the same one I have that I have shown, hopefully I've shown already by this point, that it works with all the correct settings, but theirs doesn't work on the Xbox Series X. Yeah, this is clearly just a big problem, really. So on the side of an explanation, I may have found one thanks to a lot of people who commented and DM'd me via Twitter or on YouTube, and I found a couple forums as well of people having the same issues, but I found a Reddit post, which I'll link in the description below, of sort of an explanation for this all. I'm 100% going to word something wrong, but I'll try and paraphrase and take points from it and tell you what it's about. Essentially, it's to do with the frequency timings of your display, which, sure, the refresh rate, how, it actually refreshes across your screen. There is an official standard for timing, so example, you want this exact hertz for a monitor to accept it on the standard timings, you want 119.999 for 120Hz or something like that. Don't want to go in more detail, I will definitely mess it up. Some monitors have non-standard timings, which is used more on the PC side. I assume you can edit it over there as well. So it's not exactly the same as what the standard timings are, but on PC that doesn't matter too much. But on Xbox, it looks like they only accept the normal VESA standard, so if it's not that standard, it just doesn't allow you to use it. Even if the monitor, which correctly so, is advertised to actually get to 120Hz, etc. That was probably a very rough and probably bad explanation, to be honest, of all that post. So I'd just recommend you read the post down in the description on Reddit. Read through the discussions as well and see if you match any of the people there, just to give yourself a little bit of ease and to know you're not the only one. The issue's been around since they supported it with Xbox One X and One S, so clearly this is just a standard that Xbox follows, from my point of view anyway. And since most games and stuff didn't really support that, but the console did, no one else really noticed it. There was less eyes on the issue overall. So with one possible explanation out of the way at least, which is not really confirmed, clarified, a couple of people have asked Microsoft about that, but we've got that out of the way. We may have a possible explanation as why. Okay, so this part's for everyone asking how I actually got my monitor set up and working in the first place. It wasn't a palaver when I actually got it, and before I even got it, I looked through everything. It said it supported 1440p, 120Hz, via HDMI and DisplayPort, which would be useful for my PC, but we're talking about Xbox, so it said it supported everything I needed. Once I got it, this is how it was set. No changes for the monitor at all pretty much default settings by the time I'd got the Series X. A capture card in between my setup, which doesn't support variable refresh rate to add to that, so that setting is always off for me. I haven't tried it directly to my monitor yet, but that setting's always off. And then two HDMI cables, the one that supports HDMI 2.1 features from the Series X itself to my capture card, and another one which supports 2.0 features, which is still modern enough, from the capture card again to my monitor. Turned it on, and everything worked just fine. Went through to the settings on my Xbox, could select 1440p, 120Hz, just fine. Now this is where I confirm I haven't been 100% lucky the entire time. There was one time where I was testing something on my Xbox One, and for me to do that, and easiest way to do it was just plug out the same cable from my Series X into my Xbox One, leave the whole setup intact. Went on that, did all my stuff, came back, plugged it into my Series X. Suddenly, the maximum I could get was 640 by 360 or 480p, I forget. But I couldn't get higher than that resolution at all. That was obviously wrong and confusing. That was definitely not what it supported about 20 minutes prior to that. So I rebooted the system a couple times. Eventually I got to a point where a few of you have been at, where I could get to 1080p, I could get to 1440p, and it gave me the refresh rate option once again. I could then tick 120Hz, but then it dropped me back down to 1080p saying it's not supported at 1440p, which definitely would maybe confuse, thinking, again, 20-30 minutes ago, you definitely supported that for many, many days with no issues, and now all of a sudden it refused to support it, no matter whatever settings I changed. Variable refresh rate was still off, couldn't enable it. Every other setting I could flick on and off, and I was still locked at 1080 to 120Hz, couldn't get to 1440p with it on. I rebooted my PC, which reboots my capture card that is inside my PC, and then I could finally get back to 1440p, 120Hz. That's finally how I got it. But my issue was solved then, as I've been playing it since. It works completely fine. I'm now scared to plug out my HDMI cable in case it happens again. But now I actually have experienced the issue, and I've seen so many comments. This is clearly just not a one-time issue. It's very, very big. So to try and sum this all up, it seems the Xbox needs an update to allow non-standard timings for refresh rates, so monitors that aren't exactly the same standard that Xbox uses, but are close enough that they will still work, will work. If they do that, I reckon that will clear up quite a lot of monitors just fine, and people can actually start to play with their monitors that they've paid their money for. Assuming that's obviously possible, I don't know how easy that is to fix. I'm just saying it's an update. I don't know if that's an easy update, a hard update, I have no idea, but I believe it should be possible because other displays work with other devices but not with an Xbox. But then on the point of the fact that my monitor has been working only 90% of the time instead of 100% of the time like it should do with the right specs as it has, and then 0% of the time for people who, again, have the exact same monitor, correct specs, I just think we need some clarification from Xbox or Microsoft, someone on that side to explain why. Why has it not worked when it has spec'd to work with it? In my opinion, there's been nowhere near enough of an explanation or examples or just information at all on what displays can work, what specs can work, etc. with the new consoles prior to the launch, or now. There's been a very small amount, but it's all been focused on the 4K 120, nothing else at all, even though it supports more than that. For the people who have monitors already, those people just want to play their games at 120Hz using the monitors they spent their own good hard-earned money on. Or, for the people planning to buy all their stuff, people just want to know which monitors they can buy and if they will work. Or even still, for the people like me and any other people who have reviewed any monitors that work, we want to know where we can get a monitor that works with the Series X or S, make a video on it explaining all the good things about it and how we could possibly recommend it to people, for someone to then go and have the exact same monitor and none of those things apply and it not work. Currently I can recommend many 1440p monitors at 120Hz that can work with the Series X and the S, but I can't actually tell anyone to go and buy them yet, because even if they went and bought them, I can't guarantee that person your monitor will actually work when you plug it into a console. That's a very bad thing for anyone trying to buy something, if there's no guarantee it will even work when it's worked for someone but it hasn't worked for someone else. In short, because I need to start wrapping this up, this is probably being far too long, Xbox or Microsoft, anyone at the team, if you haven't heard about this issue at all yet, here it is, pretty much. Check my comments of my ASUS monitor video that I did some impressions of. There's full of many people have had the issue there. Check the Reddit post I've linked in the description. There's many people having the issue there. Check the comments on this video probably. If anyone wants to share any more issues, feel free. It'd be nice if they come and find this video somehow. They can see no more issues in the comments. And feel free to contact me, because even I've had some form of that issue myself, and I'll be happy to explain any of that. And if they have heard of it, but they don't think it's widespread enough of an issue to start fixing, which I get from a business point of view, if it's not affecting the majority of your people, you might not need to fix it immediately. But I'd say from the sheer amount of comments that I've received, the DMs that I received, the sheer amount of confusion that everyone's had all over the internet about what displays to get from this sort of range, I think it's widespread enough to at least, one, give us some clarification, and in case maybe you intended it to be this way, or some acknowledgement to say, okay, this is a problem, we need to fix it, and then ultimately a fix so we can all start playing with our monitors that we paid for. That's that's it. That's a long one. Anyway, as I said, I believe that's kind of a long video, kind of into rant territory. But yeah, I needed to clarify that. There was many people asking me, and they were suggesting I should make a follow-up video, and after seeing the just amount of people that said it, yeah, I couldn't really not make it. I need to try and raise some awareness of it. If they can see this, I don't know if they will, I have no idea. But if they could, that would be brilliant. People, if you had any issues like this, put in the comments as well, because if they come and find this video and they don't go and find the other explanations and comments there, put comments of your issues here so they can just see more examples of it. I'm assuming the more data we give them, it will help them out. Eventually they should get on top of this. I hope they do, because if they don't, this is going to be very annoying until they do, obviously. I don't know how I said that any other way. The stress and frustration isn't worth it for anyone. I've seen it far too often. I try to help everyone as much as I can, but realistically we need them to intervene for any of this to be sorted. Hopefully it does soon. But that's it. I'll leave it on that. Leave a like if you enjoyed the rant, or just agreed and want this to be fixed to give it some more publicity. Share this around. I don't know how, if even possible, we could get them to see this, or if you have any other videos that you know people have explained this, just link it, make sure they find it out. That'll be it from me. I'll be back, hopefully with a follow-up telling you that it's fixed soon and it actually works. But yeah, I'll see you guys in the next one. See ya.